This is one of my favorite bits. Um, I don't know if this bit went over anyone's head, but this was something that I think Doug always wanted to bring to light. Where the bit is where you know Geek appears to Luke as a ghost, and he's like, "Why didn't you talk to Film Brain?" And he goes, "Well, I tried that, but..." And he cuts to Film Brain just screaming his goddamn head off. And the joke there being, I don't know why I have to explain this, but it's just really funny to me, and it was to Doug, where like, if a fucking ghost appeared in front of you, you'd lose your fucking mind. So, some people are just chill with it. Like, Luke looks up and he sees this ghost. He's like, Ben, I'll do whatever you say. But man, if you turned around, you saw a blue fucking ghost that looked like your mentor, your father, you'd be like, oh my god. That's my bag back there, that green bag. Totally mine. I ruined it for you. Yes, my bag is a very, very bright green. A not very manly color at all. And I did that on purpose. Because I have already lost my luggage twice. Well, not I didn't lose it. The airline lost it twice. But if I lose it, it won't be my fault, I guess is my point. Because when the luggage comes down the belt, I want to be able to see it, and I want to be able to know it's mine, which it's comparatively hard to do most times because almost all luggage is black. Some people try to tie a ribbon around it. No, I want mine the gaudiest fucking green ever. So, there you go. And just as I'm about to bring it up, I don't remember if I talked about it already. I don't think I did. But I think I always wanted to mention what the various pieces of the Turtle costume were, because it's a bunch of different pieces. The wig is a beach bum wig. It's called that, the beach bum wig from like Spirit Halloween from a Halloween store. The hair is made to go over the eyes, so I had to clip it back with. You can see the clips back there, like just barrettes and stuff, to keep it out of my eyes because it really is a heinously uncomfortable wig. The mustaches are actually made from real hair. You can actually get facial appliances, mustaches, and stuff that are made of real hair. And actually, you want to, because fakey stuff is really, really uncomfortable. It's essentially like some kind of like plastic that you're gluing to your face. It is very uncomfortable and hard to breathe in, and it's easier to stick to your face and remove because it's I forget what it's called. Like it's like lace webbing that they actually hand stitch it, or they stitch it to this webbing it looks really good. So I wear like 3 of those for the face. The really difficult part was the jacket, and I'm very proud of this. The original Turtle it was just a leather jacket I have. It's just a black jacket, and because the footage is meant to be so dark and kind of poorly shot, you can't see any details. But in this movie, you kind of had to see Turtle in a lot more detail and much better light. So I was like, oh shit, the jacket has to look good. Problem is, if you look at pictures of Turtle from Battlefield Earth, his jacket is very strange. It's got a lot of little panels, very strange like piping, or a lot of different little it's very weirdly patterned, I guess is my point. And you can't find anything like that. It's got all these weird pieces. It's really silly. It's sci-fi, but it's really stupid looking. And so I'm wondering how to find something like this, because you can't Google stupid looking leather jacket, so I'm just Googling leather jackets. I'm going to Amazon looking for leather jackets. I'm looking at leather jacket shops. There's a lot of leather stores. And finally I find one that I look at it and it's brilliant. And what I saw was Michael Jackson's Bad video for the song Bad. He wears like this leather jacket that looks like pseudo paramilitary, like marching drum major type black jacket. I don't know, but it's got those little funny panels in it. It's almost like like almost like a dress uniform cut in black leather. I don't even know, but it looked really. It looked kind of like Turl's jacket, which, like I said, is very hard to do. And luckily, there is an official licensed costume replica of pretty much all of Michael Jackson's outfits, and so for a moderate price, you can find the replica jackets. And so I bought the Michael Jackson Bad jacket, and that is Turl's coat, which is actually it works very well. The only problem is I think it's made of vinyl, or at least very none of this shit breathes. I don't know why I always pick the costumes that are made of fucking vinyl or that don't breathe. And of course I live in Arizona, so that doesn't help me. The pants, I actually put a lot of effort into the pants as well, even though I think you never see them at all, are motorcycle pants, which motorcycle pants are like kind of like this weird paneled, armored, literally armored style of pants. And so they actually have, if you look at them a certain way, they actually have a kind of science fiction-y cut depending on the size of the panels. They're made to be very breathable in the crotch because you're riding on a fucking motorcycle, which is a giant gasoline heat source, and so you sweat balls. Again, literally, you sweat balls. I mean it. Balls would come out of the pores near your groin. You'd be sweating balls. Kyle, the guy you saw with the Yoda ears just now, he was always kind of this I could never get a read on the guy. It was kind of, again, sad panda not listening really. He's just he's picturing somebody nude. Not Lindsay, but somebody. Don't know. See if you can figure out who. Maybe he was listening. You can see that. Anyway, Kyle. I always got the feeling I really irritated the snot out of him. Which, that happens. Of course, I irritate people quite easily, in fact. And this was, of course, at a time when I was probably not the easiest to get along with. Again, I don't know if I mentioned this, but this was around about the time my bipolar was really getting out of hand. It sounds silly because people compliment me on my performance all the time, but I was like, I was not doing well, kind of in terms of mental health. So I might have been kind of unapproachable / kind of freaky to be around. I don't know. I think most people would be too nice to tell me. But, yeah, I get the feeling I kind of irritated Kyle before, during, and probably after this shoot, which is a shame because I'm a big fan of his stuff. But anyway, now that we're all uncomfortable. No, Kyle, love you, man. Big fan. I probably read you wrong, man. He's probably like, no, we're cool. But the Bothan stuff, I must not have read this part in the script because it's a very good part where they loudly question what a fuck a Bothan is. I thought somebody actually brings up later on what they thought was a Bothan, like the white furry things. I thought that was a Bothan. I remember reading the Star Wars novels, the extended universe novels, and I think I remember that somewhere they mentioned like Bothans were like this white furry species of people. So I was like, I think there's one time in the movies you see like this white furry dude, and I'm like, that's a Bothan. I know what one is. Nope, I was wrong. Even my extended Star Wars fanboyism had failed me. I read a lot of those Star Wars novels, too. A lot of them very good. Although, again, I was a huge fanboy, so I probably had a huge blind spot when it came to those novels. But if you, tying back to the prequels, if you've ever read Timothy Zahn's Thrawn trilogy, which is basically basically episodes 7, 8, and 9, kind of the unofficial 7, 8, and 9 of the Star Wars saga, that deals with the aftermath of the fall of the Empire, where there's still a fleet out there led by this Admiral Thrawn dude, and it's very, very cool. I like it a lot. Anyway, tangent. I don't know, it's little moments like the Bothan thing where in our extended moments of fanboyism we always wonder. This bit carried over a lot better than I thought it would. I love the line on Krypton, we threw many a wicked kegger. The best line in this is I'll go get apples to apples. Great bit. You see what I mean about the jacket though? It's really weird cut with the lines. It's you try finding stuff like that. It's really weird. Oh god. At the risk of kicking over a hornet's nest, 8-bit Mickey's wearing the My Little Pony stuff. I really don't get the brony thing. Well, I do, but everyone thinks I'm being curmudgeon-y. Anyway, I won't get, I actually had to I had to unfollow 8-bit Mickey because all he would ever fucking talk about was the My Little. I love the guy, don't get me wrong, but all he ever fucking talks about on Twitter is My Little Pony. Dude, there's life beyond that shit. Actually, now that I've had time to think about it a little bit, I think I've kind of more accurately formulated why I really like this movie, why I say it has a lot of heart and there's a lot of truth to it. And scenes like this, where the critic is kind of feeling useless, like all he does is just destroy shit. You know, um, how he feels like all he does is bullshit about other people's bullshit. And, I think what a lot of it's easy to forget sometimes, and it's for fans and the producers, is that it's what we do is important. Entertainment is important, even if it's deconstructing other entertainment, because it's movies, good and bad, are important, and it's important to understand why, and to understand how it kind of shapes our lives and everything we do, because that's our past. That's where we come from, and so again, if this movie seems very referential, it's because it's because we are these quotable dudes. It's because all these movies are important to us, and we take them as very important, probably too important. But this in a lot of ways, this was a lot of our education. If that makes any sense, it probably doesn't. But yeah, I keep getting heavy on you guys, but there you have it. That moment with critic jumping, accidentally opening up the airlock. That's very. No, I'm not. I was about to say it's like from Airplane. Like Airplane 2, the sequel. Although it's very Red Dwarf. I'm very appreciative of anything that seems very Red Dwarf type humor. Which actually, there's a few moments that I kind of chalk up to being very. He's not making it Red Dwarf referential at all. I know that, but it reminds me of it. The whole scene about where he thinks they're talking about penis and stuff like that. There's a lot of really rapid turns of phrase there and stuff like that. I like the dry, witty humor. It's very English, which is why I like movies and shows like Red Dwarf and movies like Clue. That kind of the turns of phrase, the wit. I always like wit when it comes to comedy, because again, I think slapstick is very easy. It's anybody can slap another guy in the face, and there's place for that in comedy. It's called buffoonery, but it takes a lot more talent, I think, to make people laugh with words. And again, I know it's me being a hypocrite, me being one of the most foul-mouthed motherfuckers on the internet, but there is believe it or not, there is an artistry to using profanity, if that makes sense. I keep saying that because I don't think I'm making any sense, but believe it or not, there is a subtlety, I guess, into using these very unsubtle words. Again, to make it sound like something someone would say. It's very easy to throw too much in to make your anger seem artificial. I actually have been approached by a couple producers who struggle with that, who like They go, I never know how much to curse. It always seems like too much. And I'm like, if you think it's too much, it is too much. Write it the way you would talk. What's funny is Linkara does not write profanity in his reviews, but that he does curse. Like if you talk to him off camera, I'm like, I I understand why he wants to keep the character at least relatively family friendly. I understand that, but I think in some ways I it's a good character. I wonder sometimes if he would rather just cut loose. And sometimes I wonder if he's really adequately expressing his feelings towards these comics, because I know in a lot of the cases with comics he does feel genuinely strongly about a lot of these comics. I'll never grudge the guy for maintaining a good character, though. I mean, me though, it's actually probably a weakness of mine that I always feel compelled to make it sound like me. There's very little in the way of difference between my on-camera persona and what I sound like here, the way I'm talking to you guys. I've been called out, rightly so, and like people have said, even you don't know where the character ends and you begin. I'm like, wow, identity crisis, shit, and they're right. It's kind of funny. It's hard for fans to tell, and so in a lot of ways, I kind of envy dudes like Linkara and the nerd who have very clear cut distinctions between the character who always wear this uniform and themselves, whereas I am always that kind of screamy type guy wearing logo tees. It's kind of an interesting deconstruction of my own life, so to speak. Even Brad, he's got the cinema snob character, although he does dress like the snob pretty much all the time. He pretty much just trades the black t-shirt for the snob for a logo. He wears logo tees and the sports jacket over it. If you don't know, Brad is a legit fan of Crystal Pepsi. Huge fan. I don't really know if it's that much of a... sometimes I wonder if that dude's taste buds work, because that guy... He drank Crystal Pepsi. He has bottles of it, like actual sealed bottles, which have gone flat decades ago. And I remember he'd drink it, and I'm like, oh, that's foul. Like, you ever drank flat soda? Oh, gross. He's drinking this shit and like, it's good. What are you talking? I mean, it's flat, but it's good. And I'm like, dude, you're gonna die. There's probably shit in there that's and so craziness, man. But he did find he found a replacement drink for Crystal Pepsi that tasted. He said it tastes virtually the same. But yeah, he digs it, man. He's a fan. Brings it up whenever he can. Although there was a funny art imitating life, imitating art moment where at the Rally for Sanity, the Daily Show thing, where there's a Dr. Insano cosplayer holding up a sign saying "Bring back Crystal Pepsi." I'm pretty sure that much referential stuff that much self-reference caused a collapse in the space-time continuum. When I first saw this in the movie, this song number, I actually out loud said, "Oh no." I was dreading this scene, and I was wrong. This is a good scene. They kick ass with this song. And part of me, I am not a musical guy. Like I could never really get involved with musicals. It's just there's a weird disconnect for me. I'm hardwired nitpicky that way. But no, it works. It's good. Also, a very cleverly written original song, which I believe they're selling on iTunes. Also, it's interesting because probably the best singer in this group by far is Kyle. Although that's the joke. That's the joke here, is that Kyle is a great singer, and yet we don't let him sing. We probably should have just let him sing. He's very good. If you want to hear him sing, he did a review called "The Man Who Fell to Earth," a David Bowie movie, and I actually approached it. That's why I said I was a big fan. Is because uh, the Man Who Fell to Earth is probably one of my favorite reviews that I've ever seen. It's really is brilliantly done and performed to the point where I was like, I was kind of jealous of the guy. I was like, damn, you kicked ass. I've never done anything that good. It was really, really good. See, once again, I really wish they'd found another voice for the stormtroopers because it's obviously Doug. I believe Mars Girl's costume is almost entirely homemade. Probably the wig was bought, and she might have actually dyed the wig. I don't know. Um, Joe's, I believe, is a kind of a combination of store bought bits, not even store bought, like almost like custom made cosplay stuff, and produced cosplay stuff. I mean, and then a lot of his original pieces. The scenes in the jet fighter were green screened at my house. I actually spent a long time shooting those scenes, even though it's only a few seconds. Um, I basically did a lot of acting where I'm like snarling, laughing, intense, angry, pulling the trigger, kind of grunting with exertion as I fire torpedoes, reacting to getting shot. It's just kind of a lot of incidental acting, and then I did that from probably like 8 different angles as I was just kind of going in between cardinal directions, just so as the ship turned here and there, you could get me from every angle. I always think it's better to give the editor more than they need rather than not enough. Hey, is that the Decepticon logo on the back of the car? I never noticed that. Now I'm trying to think where I've seen the design for Turtle ship somewhere. Oh, it looks familiar now. I'm never gonna let it go because it kind of looks like something from a video game. Damned if I can. I threw that laugh in or that scream in as like a joke. I was like, I usually give a straight performance, and for the last take I'll do like an ad lib, just as a joke, or I'll just kind of go like I'll give it to you straight, and I'll give it I'll give it the way the director wants it, and then the last take I'll tend to go wild, as I've said. Great, see that he does really well, and then the last take I kind of go nuts, just in case you want something kind of off the wall. I've heard dudes like I think it's Ian Holm, the guy who plays Bilbo in the Fellowship of the Ring and stuff like that. I've heard Ian Holm does that a lot, where he plays it straight and then he plays it just batshit, where he gives it away that like you never ever do it normally, and then a lot of times they end up using that take kind of thing, And so like I remember hearing that, I was like, that's a really great idea. Where like sometimes, and so what's funny is Doug I won't say almost always, but oftentimes will use that crazy take. And I don't pressure him to do it. I'm just like, I actually ask him if it's okay. I'm like, you mind if the last take I just kind of riff on it? And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. But yeah, that laugh where I go, that's the. I remember whenever Goofy in the Mickey Mouse style cartoons gets his ass kicked, he always does that yell where he falls down and goes like, so. I would always reference that, and I'm glad Doug got it because, again, he's a very cartoon-oriented guy. He's the kind of guy who grew up on Saturday morning cartoons. So this is a weird scene. He told me to play this like fucking dire, like dead fucking serious. Like he's like, no funny. You are not funny. And then you fucking turn on a dime to like really menacing fucking Mati. This is, like I said, this is a weird scene. He kind of shifts gears really abruptly here, where like it goes from kind of a wacky space fight scene to like Film Brain acting his tits off, man, where he's like really desperate to fix things, and I'm like, wow, that's Film Brain's really acting his acting like crazy, and I'm doing this weird kind of demon in my head thing. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's kind of a that's a stark contrast, man. It's bold. Oh, and while we're looking at this dude, I'd like to mention something about Brad Jones. Just something it needs to be said, and that thing is that motherfucker cheats at GoldenEye. He cheats like a whore. Seriously, I played this dude at GoldenEye. Just fuck this guy, all right? I don't even know the lowest scum on earth. Who fucking cheats at GoldenEye? Unabashedly cheating, by the way. I can't believe it. It went a little too far with the Phalus dying gag, although I suppose that is the gag, is that they go way too far with it. I don't know. There's enough going on in that scene that he doesn't need to be dodging cars. Whatever. Uh, I guess I can't complain too much. Everyone needs to get their part. They should have cut everyone's stuff but mine, because my stuff is the best. I mean, my stuff never goes too far, right? Yeah, I mean, you never get enough of Dr. Insano, right? That never goes too far. So, yeah, cut Phalus's shit, and we need more science, right? Yeah, yeah. Anyway, awkward. Tune in later for part 8.